Well, Alzheimer's disease, we know, affects so many people, and there is an interesting new startup company here in Louisville called Neuronetrix. It was formed, based here in Louisville, and they have created an interesting device that's going to kind of unlock the mysteries to Alzheimer's disease. Here it is right here. We've got a model for you. First, let's see the head. This is the cognition system here, this helmet type thing. And we have Casey Fodham and Mike Reed with Neuronetrix. They're going to tell us what this is doing and how it's helping so many people. Casey, what is this? What does it do?
Sure. What we do is we record brain waves from these little devices here called electrodes. And we record those brain waves while the patient is performing a very specific cognitive task, like a memory task or something like that. And then we can correlate those brain waves with normal brain function or with some impaired brain function, like patients who would have Alzheimer's disease. And then we can use this device to help a physician diagnose those disorders.
So you're diagnosing Alzheimer's disease, hopefully at an early enough stage so that something can be done to delay the onset. Mike, tell us about is that what the goal is?
The ultimate goal is to catch these patients earlier, Gene. The drugs that are available today are by no means cures, but they can do the most good for the patients that have Alzheimer's if they were caught earlier in the disease process. And that's one of the biggest challenges with Alzheimer's right now, is the fact that there's 5 million Americans who are projected to have the disease, yet less than half of them ever receive a diagnosis, and an even smaller number of those actually receive treatment. And the problem is catching them early and getting that diagnosis so they can get the treatment they need.
Now we're going to take your calls. If you have questions about Alzheimer's, go ahead and call us at 240-6527. Interesting research project going on with the University of Kentucky and the Claudia Brown Sanders Center for Aging. I mean, they've done Alzheimer's research forever, but now you're collaborating with them. What are you doing?
Well, our clinical studies program just began recently. Our first study is ongoing at the Sanders Brown Center for Aging, and it's one of the 32 Alzheimer's Centers of Excellence in the country, as recognized by the National Institutes of Health. So it's a great place, obviously, for us to do our first study with cognition. We're very excited about it.
How does that work? You are testing patients who are at the center already, is that the case?
That's right. We're taking patients who have previously been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and we're testing our system on them. And then we're also testing them on patients who are normal, healthy aging patients. And then we use our system to see if we can discriminate the Alzheimer's patients from the normal patients.
You know, I had a senior moment the other day. How many of us need to worry about Alzheimer's? And then how do you know if you have a loved one or if you are approaching an age where Alzheimer's is common, that you need to worry, that it's not just a senior moment, that there's something more going on there?
Well, the estimates that they use right now is that somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10% of people 65 years old can expect to have Alzheimer's. And then that roughly doubles every decade of life after that, till by the time you hit 85 years old, possibly 1 in 2 patients could have Alzheimer's disease. So obviously a very devastating disease from that standpoint. The challenge is catching them earlier, Gene, so that's why we're developing cognition to do that. But we have some great doctors in town here. The University of Louisville, if you have some concerns or some issues, has a very strong geriatric department on the psychiatry side, and the Vice Chair of Psychiatry, Dr. David Casey, is an excellent geriatric psychiatrist in town here.
We have a call from Shirley in Clarksville. Shirley, what's your question? Shirley couldn't wait for us. She hung up. Okay. Interesting work. What else is available for treatment of Alzheimer's disease? You mentioned some medication.
There's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of existing drugs. There's 5 drugs approved on the market right now to treat Alzheimer's disease. They treat primarily symptoms. They're not cures. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 drug compounds that are actually in human trials right now that could potentially be approved by the FDA, and there's over 200 studies actually going on right now looking at Alzheimer's treatment. So it's a very exciting area, and it's probably tied in, not probably, it is tied into the aging of America. We have the baby boomer generation that's getting ready to
There
go
are
into
gonna
retirement
be
age.
A lot of people
That
moving into
elderly population is probably going to set off a huge explosion of age-related dementias like Alzheimer's.
If someone is watching, like Shirley, and has some questions for you about Alzheimer's, how do they contact you, Casey?
You can go to our website at www.neuronetrix.com. But we're right now not directly recruiting patients for our study. If they'd like to contact some specialists, they might contact the Sanders Brown Center or University of Louisville.
Okay, again, the information is there on the screen, Neuronetrix, that's how you spell it, .com. And on the website is the explanation of your company, how it got started, some of the work that you've done, the research going on. What's next for the company? You're also doing other work besides Alzheimer's.
That's right. This system can evaluate a variety of neurological disorders, and we will be using this system in studies of other conditions such as dyslexia or potentially depression or schizophrenia or some other kinds of disorders.
Okay, there you go. On the screen there's more information about the study at the University of Kentucky. They're enrolling patients from there, but if you have questions about Neuronetrix or the cognition technology that they've invented and started right here in Louisville, give them a call at that number or go to the website at neuronetrix.com. All right, thank you both for coming.
Thank you very much, Gene.
All right.